If you take the job, you're abandoning mom's estate. I am 23, a junior paralegal at a civil firm in Columbus, renting a one-bedroom with my partner of 2 years, and I was copied on probate emails for my mother's estate last month. A recruiter called about a litigation assistant position at a boutique firm in Denver 2 weeks ago. The written offer arrived 5 days ago with a $12,000 raise, a $5,000 signing bonus, and a relocation stipend that covers movers and 1 month of temporary housing. The start date is 6 weeks out. I put the offer on the kitchen table and handed my phone to my partner. My partner said, "No." I asked why. My partner said, "I'm not moving to Denver," and walked out of the room. Update 1. The next morning, I emailed the hearing manager to accept and copied HR to start relocation. HR replied with a relocation packet, a vendor list, and a link to submit receipts for reimbursement. I printed the packet, placed it in a folder labeled Denver, and left the folder on the counter. I told my supervising attorney I would be resigning and submitted a 2-week notice letter. I created a detailed task list in our case management system, scheduled 3 knowledge transfer sessions, and exported file notes for the team taking over my docket. The supervising attorney asked if I could assist remotely for 30 days after departure. I offered to handle client correspondence for 2 weeks and to be available by email thereafter. Update 2. My aunt called the day after I accepted and asked whether I would remain executor or appoint a local representative. I sent her a copy of the signed offer, the lease I planned to sign in Denver, and the relocation dates. She said the estate needed someone on the ground to coordinate the house inspection and get the title paperwork to the probate attorney. I scheduled a meeting with the probate attorney and asked about remote options. The probate attorney replied with 2 options. I could sign a limited power of attorney to authorize the attorney to obtain the inspection and file documents, or I could have a local trustee handle the keys and the inspection pending my return. I requested the necessary POA form and printed it for signature. My partner did not join the call with the probate attorney. I left the POA form on the counter for my partner to sign and noted the relocation dates in the email thread with the probate attorney. Dialogue that week. "Will you sign the POA so I can leave?" I asked. "No," my partner said. "I'm not signing anything that helps you leave." "Will you at least discuss a compromise?" I asked. "No discussion," my partner said, and they closed the bedroom door. Update 3. I booked the moving company from the HR vendor list for 5 days before my start date and reserved temporary housing through the company's partner site. I found a 1-bedroom near the Denver office, signed the lease electronically, and paid the security deposit with the relocation advance. I scanned and uploaded receipts to HR per the reimbursement instructions. I scheduled a video walkthrough with the probate attorney and the property inspector for 2 days before my movers arrived and sent the appointment to my aunt and the probate attorney. I also emailed a proposed spreadsheet listing shared household items, account transfers, and the forwarding address for the estate correspondence. My partner posted a question in a mutual friends group chat asking whether I had actually accepted the job. The mutual friend called me for confirmation. I forwarded the signed offer and lease to the friend and asked them not to share documents with my partner. The friend agreed. Update 4. 2 days before movers arrived, my partner texted, "We need to talk." I replied with times and noted my moving schedule. The conversation lasted 8 minutes and covered only logistics. My partner restated, "I'm not moving," and ended the call with, "Figure it out." I packed files and personal items I planned to take, sold a second dresser via Marketplace for pickup during the moving window, and arranged for a neighbor to hold a spare key for the estate inspector. I uploaded move-out photos of the apartment and labeled them with timestamps, then emailed the photo links to the probate attorney and to my aunt. On moving day, I supervised the movers, signed the bill of lading, left a printed inventory and the forwarding address for the estate on the kitchen table, and dropped the keys in the landlord's Dropbox as instructed. My partner was not present. Update 5. After the move, I signed the POA, scanned the document, and emailed it to the probate attorney with instructions to proceed with the inspection and filings. The probate attorney confirmed receipt and scheduled the inspection for the following week. I checked into the company's temporary housing in Denver, collected the HR welcome packet, and set up the company laptop. I created calendar blocks for onboarding and scheduled one-on-ones with the litigation partners I would support. I updated payroll with my Denver address and enrolled in the Denver office benefits. That evening, my partner left a voicemail asking me to delay the start date and to return for the inspection in person. I returned the call, read the signed offer details, and said, "Start date is firm per my agreement with HR." My partner left no further voicemail. I set a calendar reminder to follow up with the probate attorney after the inspection and to send my aunt the forwarding address for any estate mail. Update 6. The probate attorney performed the inspection 2 days after I emailed the POA. The inspector sent a photo report and a checklist the same afternoon. I compared the inspector's photos to my time-stamped move-out photos, annotated discrepancies in an email, and asked the attorney to proceed with filing the affidavit of heirship and arranging title transfer steps. The probate attorney confirmed they would file within 10 business days and requested my signature on an electronic authorization for the title company. I signed and returned it the same day. Update 7. My partner called the next morning and left 3 voicemails asking me to come back for the inspection in person and accusing me of abandoning responsibilities. I returned the call between onboarding sessions, read the attorney's confirmation, and said, "The inspection is done and the attorney is filing." My partner said, "Then rescind the offer." I replied, "I can't, start date is firm." My partner ended the call. I attended the first week trainings, completed mandatory compliance modules, and met the litigation partners I would support. HR transferred my relocation reimbursement after I uploaded final receipts, and payroll confirmed the signing bonus would hit the next paycheck. I scheduled weekly check-ins with the probate attorney and set calendar reminders for filings and title updates. Update 8. The probate attorney emailed a preliminary filing confirmation and a docket number. I forwarded the docket number to my aunt and to my partner with instructions to contact the attorney for status updates. My aunt replied asking for copies of the inspection photos and the signed POA. I uploaded both to a shared folder and granted view access to the attorney, my aunt, and my partner. 2 weeks after the inspection, my partner posted a message in the mutual friends group chat asking whether I had signed over executor duties. The mutual friend copied me and asked for clarification. I replied with the docket number and the attorney's contact. The mutual friend offered to mediate. I declined and wrote that all estate communication should go through the probate attorney. Update 9. My partner flew to Denver 3 weeks after I moved and sent a photo of their boarding pass. I replied with a public meeting time at noon and suggested we limit the conversation to logistics. We met at a courthouse coffee shop. My partner brought a printed list of estate concerns and the inspection report they had received from the landlord. I handed over the shared folder link, the signed POA, and the docket number, and I explained the attorney's filing timeline. My partner asked whether I would transfer executor duties to my aunt. I said I would not remove myself without formal filings and attorney advice, and I offered to add my aunt as a co-contact with the probate attorney. My partner noted the offer and said they would contact the attorney. At work, I led discovery intake for a new case, arranged remote document review access for 2 paralegals, and adjusted my calendar for court dates that conflicted with onboarding events. I coordinated those conflicts with my supervising partner in Denver and with the HR team. HR processed an accommodation request to allow remote attendance at 1 court hearing, and the supervising partner confirmed approval subject to coverage by a colleague. Update 10. The probate attorney filed the necessary documents and listed me as executor. The title company requested additional signatures to clear a lien on the property. I completed the e-signatures the same day, uploaded proof of identification, and authorized the title company to coordinate payoff with the mortgage servicer. The title company confirmed receipt and provided an estimated timeline of 3 to 4 weeks to clear the title. My partner emailed the title company with questions and copied me. The title company replied with a status update and reiterated that communications should be with the probate attorney for legal matters. I forwarded the title company response to my partner and to the probate attorney and asked the attorney to handle any title disputes. Update 11. 2 weeks later, the title company confirmed the lien payoff and issued a preliminary title report. I sent the report to my aunt and my partner and scheduled a call with the probate attorney to confirm next steps for closing out the estate. The attorney requested a final affidavit of disposition from me and asked for a forwarding address for any remaining checks. I provided the Denver address and authorized the attorney to deposit any remaining funds into the estate account pending distribution. At the end of month 2, I received the first Denver paycheck with the signing bonus and relocation reimbursement accounted for, and the firm added me to the rotating on-call schedule. I updated my tax withholding to reflect the signing bonus and set aside scanned copies of pay stubs in the Denver relocation folder labeled for tax purposes. Update 12. My partner sent a final message asking to split any post-estate sale proceeds that were tied to jointly owned items. I replied with the shared item spreadsheet, the auction receipts for sold items, and bank transfer confirmations. My partner reviewed the documents, signed a simple mutual release I drafted, and wired the agreed amount for their share of sold furniture. The probate attorney emailed that the title had cleared and asked me to sign closing instructions. I signed electronically, authorized the distribution per the estate plan, and requested that the attorney mail final closing paperwork to my Denver address. The attorney confirmed mailing and asked me to review closing statements for accuracy upon receipt. Update 13. Final closing paperwork arrived by certified mail. I reviewed the statements, notarized the signature page at a local notary, and scanned and uploaded the notarized copy to the shared folder. I asked the probate attorney to confirm receipt and to file the final accounting with the court. The attorney confirmed filing and provided a docket entry showing the estate closed. Work responsibilities continued. I ran a document production, mentored a junior paralegal remotely for a week, and completed the first month billable targets. I maintained weekly calls with the probate attorney for record keeping and to respond to any post-closing questions. Update 14. My partner emailed one last question about tax paperwork and requested copies of the closing statements for their records. I exported the closing PDFs, included the mutual release and wiring receipts, and sent the packet with a note to consult a tax advisor. My partner replied with a one-line acknowledgement and provided a forwarding address for any future correspondence. I archived all estate, relocation, and transaction documents in a secure cloud folder, retained local copies for tax season, and set calendar reminders to follow up with the probate attorney in January for any outstanding tax forms. I continued full-time work at the Denver firm, attended weekly practice meetings, and limited further communication with my partner to documented logistics and tax-related exchanges. Next story. If you take that job, you're choosing a paycheck over mom's estate. I am 21, a legal assistant at a small probate firm in Dayton, renting a studio with my boyfriend of 2 years, and I was named as co-executor in my mother's will last month. A recruiter called 3 weeks ago about a full-time estate coordinator role in Cleveland that combines office administration for a boutique firm with hands-on estate management for 2 nearby properties. The written offer arrived last Tuesday with a $14,000 raise, a $3,000 signing bonus, and a relocation allowance covering movers and 2 weeks of temporary housing. The start date is 5 weeks out. I put the offer on the counter and handed my phone to my boyfriend. He looked at the email and said, "No." I asked why. He said, "I'm not moving to Cleveland." I asked for a conversation. He said, "There is nothing to discuss," and left the room. Update 1. The next morning, I emailed the hearing manager to accept and copied HR to begin relocation. HR sent a relocation packet with a vendor list, reimbursement instructions, and temporary housing options. I printed the packet, created a folder labeled Cleveland Hire, and left the folder on the kitchen table. I met with the probate attorney handling my mother's estate, reviewed the will, and confirmed my designation as co-executor. The attorney offered 2 paths. I could sign a limited power of attorney authorizing the attorney to handle the immediate inspection and filings, or I could be on-site as executor to manage the property and coordinate contractors. I requested the POA form and scheduled a video call to review next steps. Update 2. I submitted a 2-week notice at the probate firm where I worked, documented case notes in our matter management system, and scheduled knowledge transfer sessions with 2 colleagues. My supervising attorney asked whether I would be available for remote questions after departure. I agreed to be available by email for 2 weeks post-exit. I booked a mover from HR's vendor list for 3 days before the Cleveland start date and reserved temporary housing through the company's portal. I found a 1-bedroom near the Cleveland office, signed the lease electronically, and paid the security deposit with the relocation advance. I uploaded receipts to HR per the reimbursement process. Dialogue that week. "Will you sign the POA so the attorney can start?" I asked. "No," my boyfriend said. "I'm not signing anything that helps you leave." "Can we at least agree on a plan for the apartment?" I asked. "No discussion," he said, and he closed the bedroom door. Update 3. 2 days later, my boyfriend posted a question in a mutual friends group chat asking whether I had actually accepted the job. The mutual friend called me for confirmation. I forwarded the signed offer and lease to the friend and asked them not to share documents with my boyfriend. The friend acknowledged receipt and did not share the documents. I scheduled a video walkthrough with the probate attorney and the inspector for 2 days before the mover's pickup and shared the appointment with my aunt, who lived closer to the estate property. I created a spreadsheet listing shared items, account transfers, and the forwarding address for estate correspondence, and emailed the link to my boyfriend with a request to confirm pickup dates. Update 4. On moving day, I supervised the movers, signed the bill of lading, left a printed inventory and the forwarding address on the kitchen table, and dropped the keys in the landlord's Dropbox per instructions. My boyfriend was not at the apartment. I texted him the tracking number for the mover and the landlord's inspection schedule. After the move, I signed the POA, scanned it, and emailed it to the probate attorney with instructions to proceed with the inspection and filings. The attorney confirmed receipt and scheduled the inspection for the following week. I checked into the company's temporary housing in Cleveland, collected the HR welcome packet, and set up the company laptop. Update 5. That evening, my boyfriend left a voicemail asking me to delay the start date and to return for the inspection in person. I returned the call between onboarding sessions, read the signed offer details, and said, "Start date is firm per the agreement." He left no further voicemail. I moved into the leased apartment 2 days later, assembled a desk, and set up a home workspace. I updated payroll with the Cleveland address, enrolled in benefits, and added the firm's onboarding meetings to my calendar. Update 6. 2 weeks after moving, the probate inspector sent a photo report and a checklist. I compared the inspector's photos to my move-out photos, annotated discrepancies, and forwarded the notes to the probate attorney with timestamps. The attorney replied with a filing timeline and a request for electronic signature on title documents. I e-signed the documents the same day. My boyfriend sent a message asking whether I would remove myself as co-executor and transfer duties to our aunt. I replied with the attorney's instructions and the POA I had signed, and I wrote that formal removal required court action and attorney steps. He posted again in the mutual friends chat asking whether I had signed over executor duties. The mutual friend copied me and asked for clarification. I replied with the attorney's contact, and requested that all estate questions go through the probate attorney. Update 7. 1 week before my start date, I finalized the moving reimbursement uploads, confirmed furniture delivery for 2 days before the start date, and scheduled the final walkthrough with the landlord. I asked my boyfriend to confirm pickup times for the shared items listed in the spreadsheet. He replied with 2 requested pickup dates and 1 line: "I'll get what's mine." I closed joint household accounts where required, prepared a file with all estate-related documents for the probate attorney, and set calendar reminders for filing deadlines. I booked a one-way flight back to Dayton for the landlord walkthrough and the property inspection. On the morning I left for the walkthrough, I packed the files, locked the Cleveland apartment door, and printed a paper trail of receipts and signed releases. I emailed the walkthrough time to my boyfriend and the probate attorney and added the attorney's contact as the primary for estate correspondence. Update 8. I parked at the Dayton property, unlocked the door with the spare key the neighbor held, and met the probate attorney and the inspector in the living room. The attorney confirmed receipt of the signed POA, reviewed the inspection checklist, and asked me to walk each room while the inspector photographed and time-stamped items. My aunt arrived, provided a set of contractor contacts, and signed a witness form the inspector required. I emailed the inspector's live photo feed to the attorney and uploaded the full photo set to the shared folder. Update 9. That afternoon, the inspector sent a formal photo report and a line-item checklist. I compared the report to my move-out photos, annotated 3 disputed items with timestamps, and sent the annotations to the attorney with instructions to proceed with filings. The attorney acknowledged and prepared the initial probate filing, asking me to e-sign the court forms that evening. I signed electronically and saved the signed copies to the Estate Filings folder. Update 10. My boyfriend called twice and left voicemails saying I had abandoned the inspection. I returned the call between onboarding meetings, read the attorney's confirmation email aloud, and said, "The attorney filed. Here is the docket number." He texted, "Then rescind the POA." I replied, "Rescission requires court paperwork. Contact the attorney if you want to pursue that." Update 11. The court docket number posted 2 business days later, and the probate clerk emailed a receipt. I forwarded the docket to my aunt, the attorney, and my boyfriend with a note listing the attorney's contact for questions. A mutual friend messaged offering to mediate. I replied that all legal questions should go through counsel and that logistics would be handled through the shared folder. Update 12. The title company contacted me for e-signatures to clear a small lien on the property. I provided identification, e-signed the payoff authorization, and uploaded proof of ID to their secure portal the same day. The title company confirmed receipt and provided an estimated timeline of 3 weeks to clear title. I added the title company's estimated dates to the estate timeline spreadsheet and shared the update with my aunt and my boyfriend. Update 13. My boyfriend posted in the mutual friends group chat asking whether I had signed over executor duties. I replied with the docket number and the attorney's email and wrote that executor status required court confirmation. The mutual friend offered to pass documents along. I uploaded the inspection photos, the signed POA, and the initial filing receipt to the shared folder and set permissions for the friend to view. Update 14. 2 weeks after the filing, my boyfriend flew to Cleveland and sent a photo of his boarding pass. I replied with a public meeting time at noon and limited the scope to logistics and documentation pickup. We met at a courthouse coffee shop. He brought a printed list of items he wanted returned and a stack of screenshots from the landlord. I handed over the shared folder link, the POA copy, and the docket number, and I explained the attorney's timeline for title clearance and distribution. He asked whether I would add our aunt as a co-contact with the attorney. I emailed the attorney the request and copied my aunt and my boyfriend. Update 15. At work, I finished onboarding modules, set up document access for the Cleveland office, and confirmed my first court coverage rotation. HR processed the relocation reimbursement after I uploaded final receipts, and payroll confirmed the signing bonus would post on the next paycheck. I set a calendar reminder for the title company's estimated clearance date and for the probate attorney's weekly status calls. Update 16. The title company posted a preliminary title report and requested payoff confirmation from the mortgage servicer. I forwarded the report to the attorney, signed the payoff authorization, and authorized the title company to coordinate payoff with the servicer. The servicer acknowledged receipt and scheduled payoff processing. The title company updated the estimated clearance to 2 weeks. Update 17. The landlord issued a refund confirmation for the security deposit and emailed a PDF receipt. I forwarded the receipt to my boyfriend and asked him to confirm when the deposit posted to his account. He replied the next day with a one-line, "Received." I saved the deposit receipt, the wiring confirmations for sold furniture, and the signed mutual release in the estate finances folder. Update 18. The title company confirmed lien payoff and issued a preliminary closing statement. The attorney requested my e-signature on the closing instructions. I reviewed the closing statement, e-signed the instructions, and requested final distribution per the will. The attorney confirmed filing the final accounting and provided a tentative date for the court entry closing the estate. Update 19. Final closing paperwork arrived by certified mail. I notarized the required signature pages at a local notary, scanned the notarized copies, and uploaded them to the shared folder. The attorney filed the final accounting with the court and sent a docket entry showing the estate closed 2 business days later. I downloaded the court docket, saved a copy to the folder, and sent a closing packet with the docket number, closing statements, and mutual release to my boyfriend and my aunt. Update 20. My boyfriend emailed one final request for copies of the closing statements for tax purposes. I exported the closing PDFs, included the mutual release and wiring receipts, and sent the packet with a note advising consultation with a tax professional. He replied with a forwarding address and a one-line acknowledgement. Update 21. I archived all estate, relocation, and transaction documents in a secure cloud folder labeled Cleveland, Estate Closed, retained local copies for tax season, and set calendar reminders to follow up with the attorney in January for any outstanding tax forms. At work, I completed the first month billable targets, covered the assigned court date remotely with the supervising partner's approval, and joined the practice group's weekly planning meeting. I limited further communication with my boyfriend to logistical exchanges, documented in email and the shared folder. Next story. I'm Zoe, 26, a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized software company in Philadelphia, renting a 2-bedroom with my boyfriend of 3 years, and I was named executor in my mother's will last month. Chapter 1. If you take that job, you're choosing the house over us. My mother died 6 weeks ago and left the house to be sold with proceeds split between me and my older brother. The will named me executor and my brother as beneficiary, and the estate agent said the market was active enough to list within a month. 2 weeks after the funeral, I got a call from a recruiter at a Chicago firm offering a senior marketing role. Higher title, $18,000 more in base, a $10,000 signing bonus, and a relocation package covering movers and 2 weeks of temporary housing. The written offer arrived 3 days later with a start date 6 weeks out. I put the offer email on the kitchen counter and handed my phone to Mark, my boyfriend, and said, "Read this." Mark looked at the offer, flipped the screen back to me and said, "No." I asked why. He said, "I'm not moving to Chicago." I asked for a discussion. He said, "There is nothing to discuss," and left the room. Update 1. The next morning, I emailed the recruiter to accept and copied HR to start relocation. HR replied with a relocation packet, a vendor list for movers, and instructions for the lump sum advance. I printed the packet, created a folder on my laptop labeled Chicago Hire, and left the packet on the counter next to the estate paperwork. I told my supervising partner at work I would be resigning in 2 weeks, created a handoff document for 3 active campaigns, and scheduled knowledge transfer meetings. I messaged my brother and the estate agent to confirm the planned open house date and asked the estate agent to provide a video walkthrough for my records. Mark did not join the call to the estate agent. I left the POA and deed documents on the table and asked Mark to sign the limited authorization forms so the estate agent and I could coordinate contractors and showings while I was in Chicago for orientation. He read the POA, set it down, and said, "I'm not signing anything that helps you leave." I asked if he would at least agree to be a local contact for the estate agent. He said, "No discussion." I booked the mover on HR's vendor list for 5 days before my start date, reserved temporary housing through the company portal, and signed a 1-year lease for an apartment a short walk from the Chicago office. I paid the security deposit using the relocation advance. I created a spreadsheet that listed shared household items, estimated sale values, the forwarding address for the estate mail, and a timeline for transfers. And I emailed the link to Mark with a request for pickup dates for things he wanted. Update 2. 2 days after I accepted, Mark posted a message in a mutual friends group chat asking whether I had actually signed the offer. The mutual friend called me to clarify, and I forwarded the signed offer and the lease confirmation to the friend with a note asking them not to share documents with Mark. The friend acknowledged and did not share. I canceled recurring deliveries tied to our Philadelphia address, scheduled a final walkthrough with the landlord for the week after the movers picked up the last box, and uploaded time-stamped photos of the apartment to a shared folder for the landlord and for the estate record. During the week before movers arrived, I found a stack of unpaid bills from the house in a kitchen drawer and scanned them into the estate folder, arranged for a contractor to assess needed repairs via video call, and emailed the contractor's estimate to my brother and the estate agent. I set a video inspection for 2 days before the movers were scheduled to pick up my things, so I could confirm which personal items were in storage at the house and which would be listed with the estate sale. Dialogue the night before packing. "Will you sign the authorization so the estate agent can lock up the house after showings?" I asked. "No," Mark said. "I'm not signing anything that makes you go." "Will you come with me for the walkthrough?" I asked. "No," he said. "I have work." He closed the door. Update 3. On moving day, I supervised the movers, provided an inventory list, and signed the bill of lading. Mark did not come to the apartment. I left a printed inventory and a forwarding address on the kitchen table, dropped the last set of keys in the landlord's Dropbox per their instructions, and drove to the airport. On the plane, I skimmed the estate emails and replied to the estate agent with the video inspection time and the list of items we planned to donate versus sell. The first evening in Chicago, HR gave me the temporary housing keys and a welcome packet. I set up the company laptop, scheduled the new hire orientation sessions, and blocked calendar time for the first 2 weeks of onboarding. I texted Mark the arrival time and a link to the folder with the estate documents and asked him to confirm the pickup dates for the items he wanted. He replied with one text, "We'll talk." 2 nights later, while sorting boxes in the temporary apartment, I found a message thread on Mark's laptop, left logged in on the couch, showing recent messages with a neighbor that included plans to meet for coffee and a photo of Mark at a bar that matched a night he had said he was working late. I copied the timestamps and the messages into a file and then closed the laptop. Update 4. I called Mark and asked directly, "Are you seeing someone?" He answered on the second ring, said, "No," and then paused. I read him one of the messages and the timestamp. He hung up. I texted that I had the messages and asked him to confirm who the neighbor was and when they met. He replied, "None of your business." I forwarded the screenshot thread to my own email for record keeping, then sent the estate agent and my brother a note saying I could no longer rely on Mark for local coordination and listing 2 local contacts instead. My brother and a neighbor who had agreed to hold a spare key for the inspector. At orientation the next morning, I added product launch milestones to my calendar, joined a client kickoff, and met the 5-person team I would lead. My manager asked about relocation logistics, and I summarized the lease, the move, and the estate timeline. HR confirmed the relocation reimbursement and asked if I needed additional settling and support. I replied that I needed only the standard packet and asked HR to confirm the mover's delivery window. Update 5. Mark flew to Chicago 8 days after I arrived and sent a photo of his boarding pass with the caption, "We should talk." I suggested a public meeting at a coffee shop near my temporary housing at noon the next day and asked him to bring a list of the items he wanted from the apartment. We met. He had a small duffel and a printed list. I handed him the spreadsheet and the photos of the apartment and said, "Pickups are scheduled Friday." He asked whether I would rescind the POA I had left signed on the counter. I explained I had already emailed the estate agent and scheduled the inspector, and that rescinding required written notice and coordination with the estate agent and my brother, who was handling local showings. He read the spreadsheet, circled 3 items, and said he wanted them delivered to his sister's house that weekend. At the end of the week, the movers delivered my furniture to the leased apartment. The landlord in Philadelphia confirmed receipt of the keys and the cleaning invoice, and the estate agent performed the video inspection at the house and sent a photo report. I compared the inspection photos to the move-out photos and annotated discrepancies, then forwarded the annotations and the contractor estimate to my brother and the estate agent with a note instructing them to proceed with minor repairs before listing. Update 6. 2 weeks into the new job, I led a planning workshop, set quarterly KPIs, and onboarded 2 direct reports. The manager copied me on an email congratulating the team for the deliverables timeline. My brother texted that the estate agent had scheduled an open house and asked if I wanted to review the listing draft. I reviewed the draft at lunch, suggested 2 changes to the staging description, and approved the listing. Mark sent a 1-line text. "I saw the listing. You sold Mom's things." I texted back the listing link and the staging notes and offered the spreadsheet of items that had been donated, sold, or kept. He read it and called twice that afternoon, leaving voicemails asking me to reconsider the move and to come back for family reasons. I returned 1 voicemail between meetings and said, "The open house is set. I am in Chicago for work and the start date is fixed." He asked whether I could delay the start. I read the HR offer on the call and said, "Start date is firm per the agreement." He ended the call. Update 7. The open house proceeded and the estate agent sent an offer 3 days later. I forwarded the offer to my brother for discussion and asked the agent to hold until we reviewed. My manager scheduled a client presentation 2 days after the offer arrived and asked me to lead it. I prepared the deck, rehearsed with the team, and presented to the client on schedule. After the presentation, I emailed my brother and the estate agent with a decision window and set a calendar reminder to finalize estate instructions after the client call. That evening, Mark called from a number I didn't recognize. The caller ID showed a blocked number and the voicemail was 2 minutes long with fragments. "I can fix this, please," and "I made a mistake." I saved the voicemail, added it to the estate folder as a dated file, and replied to Mark with a scheduling link limited to logistics, item pickup, and final accounting transfers. I closed my laptop, locked the apartment, and checked the calendar for the morning stand-up. Update 8. I woke, checked email, and saw the estate agent's message. 1 offer on the house, buyer requesting a 3-week close and earnest money deposit to be placed in escrow that afternoon. I opened the offer PDF, noted the purchase price, reviewed the inspection contingency, and forwarded the document to my brother with a direct question: accept as is or counter. My brother replied within an hour: accept, repairs covered per estimate, close in 3 weeks. I emailed the agent. Accept, send escrow instructions, and attached a scanned copy of the broker authorization I had signed. Update 9. I joined the 8:30 a.m. stand-up by video, shared the status of the client rollout, and set a meeting to finalize the ad creative that afternoon. Between calls, I checked the estate folder and confirmed the contractor's invoices matched the agent's repairs list. I uploaded the contractor receipts and labeled them deductible repairs. The agent replied with escrow wiring instructions and the buyer's earnest money deadline of 4:00 p.m. I saved the PDF and added a calendar reminder for the wiring. Update 10. At 10:00 a.m., my phone showed a new voicemail from Mark with a single sentence. I need to tell you something in person. I called back and left a message. I am at work. If this is about estate logistics, email me. Otherwise, schedule a time and place for pickups only. He replied with a text. Meet me at 5:30. I have keys. I replied with my availability for pickups only and repeated that all legal financial questions go through my brother and the estate agent. Update 11. At noon, the client asked me to stay late to finalize copy. I confirmed I would and moved the delivery time to the evening. I sent the escrow wiring confirmation to the agent at 3:45 p.m. The agent responded at 3:58 p.m. with an email confirming receipt and that the earnest money had been posted to escrow. I forwarded the agent's confirmation to my brother and to the probate folder labeled Financials and created a subfolder for the escrow receipt. Update 12. At 5:15 p.m. I left work, drove to the temporary housing, and set a time to meet Mark at 6:00 p.m. at the public plaza near my building for the item pickup. He arrived at 5:55 p.m., hands empty, and asked to sit on a bench. I handed him the printed spreadsheet of items, circled the 3 items he'd previously requested, and said, "Pickups are scheduled for Saturday with the moving company." He looked at the list, then said, "There are messages on your couch. I should explain." I replied, "Pickups only, no explanations." He said, "I saw someone, I met her, it's over." I slid the phone with the screenshots across the bench and said, "Sign the mutual release for the items and confirm the pickup address." Update 13. He took the phone, scrolled the screenshots, and set the phone down without comment. I handed him a printed mutual release I had drafted that morning listing the sold items, transfer amounts, and a clause releasing me from further claims. He read it, initialed each page, and signed. I scanned the signed release at the business center in my building and attached the PDF to an email to the moving company and to my brother. I copied the wiring instructions for the sales proceeds into the email and requested confirmation once transfers posted. Update 14. That night, the moving company confirmed the Saturday pickup window and asked for final access instructions. I replied with the pickup address and added my brother and the neighbor as contacts. I updated the shared folder with the signed release and the escrow receipt and moved the estate closing timeline into the project calendar I shared with the agent and my brother. Update 15. On Saturday, the movers collected the circled items, loaded them into a truck, and delivered them to the sister's address Mark had provided. The movers scanned the signed pickup receipt and uploaded it to the shared folder. Mark texted a bank receipt for the wire he said he had sent. I matched the receipt to the amount in the spreadsheet and saved the screenshot in the finances folder. I emailed him a final confirmation. Received, release executed. That closes our shared items list. Update 16. 2 days after the earnest money posted, the buyer's inspection report returned with 2 minor issues the contractor had already addressed per the repair estimate. I forwarded the inspection report and contractor invoices to the agent and confirmed we were on track for the 3-week close. I added the anticipated closing date to my work calendar and notified HR to expect a permanent address update after closing. Update 17. At work, I led the client presentation. The team hit the KPIs we had set, and the director asked me to draft a plan for the upcoming pilot. I completed the draft that evening, saved it to the shared drive, and scheduled the pilot kickoff for 2 weeks after the estate close to avoid calendar conflicts. Update 18. My brother emailed that the agent had received 3 inquiries on the listing within 24 hours of the open house, and that the buyer's lender had cleared pre-approval. I replied with the escrow confirmation and a note that contractor invoices were reconciled. He asked whether I wanted the net sale proceeds transferred to my new account or held in the estate account pending distribution. I instructed the agent to hold the net proceeds in the estate account until we finalized the distribution spreadsheet and tax estimates. Update 19. The title company, the agent's recommended closer, provided a preliminary HUD statement. I reviewed line items, matched them to the repair invoices, and flagged 2 small administrative fees for clarification. The title company adjusted the statement and sent the corrected HUD. I signed the closing authorization and returned it with my forwarding address for the final documents. Update 20. The day before closing, the buyer's lender wired the balance to escrow, and the agent emailed a settlement statement with funds to be disbursed the next morning. I printed the settlement statement, compared it to the HUD, and sent the final distribution spreadsheet to my brother and the agent for sign-off. Both replied, "Approved." Update 21. On closing morning, the agent emailed the recorded deed and the final settlement disbursement PDF. I downloaded both, uploaded them to the estate folder, and sent a single email to my brother and to the agent. Settlement received and recorded. Estate closed for sale. Next, distribution per spreadsheet. My brother confirmed receipt and asked me to initiate transfers for our agreed shares. Update 22. I drafted the transfer instructions, attached the wire confirmations for the items sold, and instructed the agent to disburse our shares from the estate account to our respective bank accounts. That afternoon, I received a bank notification. The net sale proceeds had posted to my account. I forwarded the bank receipt to my brother and saved a copy to the finances folder. Update 23. I logged into my online accounts, updated my driver's license with the Chicago address, and changed my voter registration. I closed the joint utilities we had in Philadelphia and rerouted any remaining mail to the forwarding address I had set up with USPS. I scheduled a tax consultation for early January to confirm reporting for the signing bonus, moving reimbursement, and estate proceeds. Update 24. Mark sent one final email requesting copies of the closing and wiring statements for his records. I compiled the closing packet, included the signed mutual release and the wiring confirmation, and emailed the packet with a note. Consult a tax advisor as needed. He replied with a one-line, "Thanks." Update 25. At work, I accepted a request to mentor a new hire on the team and updated my profile with the completed pilot plan. I archived the estate folder under Chicago, completed, and retained copies of all financial records in my secure storage. I set calendar reminders for the tax consultation and for the date the estate accountant would file the final schedules. Update 26. Monday, I logged into work, reviewed the week's email, and added the estate closing packet to the secure folder labeled Chicago, completed. I replied to Mark with a single line, "Logistics only, send a time and place." He replied within an hour with, "Tonight, 7 p.m., Public Park." I booked the client kickoff for the afternoon and blocked 6:38:00 p.m. for the meeting, noting it as logistics on my calendar. Update 27. At 6:50 p.m., I walked to the park bench we had picked and found Mark already there with a small paper bag. He stood when I approached and said, "I brought the receipts." I sat, set my phone to record the exchange, and opened the spreadsheet of item transfers on my laptop. He handed over 3 printed receipts and 1 photo of a text thread that matched the screenshots I had saved earlier. I took the receipts, marked them in the spreadsheet under reimbursed items, and scanned the documents into the estate folder from my phone. Update 28. I asked one question. Are you asking for more than the signed release? He answered, no, I want to explain why I didn't sign the POA. I said, I don't need explanations. Signed release closed shared items, wire posted. He said, I know, and then stopped. I closed the laptop, said, documented logistics only, and walked back to my apartment. Update 29. That week at work, I led 2 workshops, finalized the pilot plan, and met with HR about the permanent address update after the estate distribution cleared. I scheduled the tax consultation for the following Monday at 10:00 a.m., sent the accountant the relocation paperwork, the signing bonus confirmation, and the estate disbursement receipt, and created a tax folder in the secure drive labeled Taxes 20XX. Update 30. The accountant emailed a tax estimate 3 days later. The signing bonus and relocation stipend would increase my taxable income for the year, and the estate proceeds required reporting on Schedule K1 for the estate account. The accountant provided a checklist and an estimated quarterly payment schedule to avoid underpayment penalties. I forwarded the estimate to my brother with a note recommending we consult the estate accountant for the correct K1 allocation. He replied, do it. I don't want surprises. I approved the quarterly payment schedule and set up an automated transfer for the first estimated payment. Update 31. Mark texted twice over the next 4 days asking whether I had received the receipts he left. I replied with a photo of the scanned receipts and the spreadsheet entry, received 10:15. He called once, left a 1-minute voicemail asking if we could try again. And I saved the voicemail in the relationship, communications, folder before deleting the notification from my phone. I updated the shared folder permissions to allow my brother and the estate agent access to financial documents only. Update 32. A mutual friend messaged asking if I wanted mediation. I declined and wrote that all estate and financial matters were closed per the signed release and escrow disbursement. The friend replied, understood, and offered to pick up any remaining items Mark might have missed. I forwarded the pickup list and asked the friend to coordinate directly with Mark. Update 33. 2 weeks after closing, the estate accountant emailed the final K1 and noted a small discrepancy in one contractor invoice that required clarification. I compared the invoice to the contractor's emailed receipt, sent the contractor a request for a corrected invoice, and copied the estate accountant and my brother. The contractor replied the same day with a corrected invoice and an apology. I uploaded the corrected invoice to the finances folder and sent a confirmation email to the accountant. Update 34. At work, I was asked to present the pilot plan to the director and to a prospective client the next month. I prepared the deck, added metrics from the first sprint, and scheduled a dry run with my team. HR confirmed final relocation reimbursement in the payroll system and asked whether I wanted the company to mail the final welcome packet to my permanent address. I replied, yes, and updated the mailing address to the Chicago lease. Update 35. Mark sent one final message 2 days later asking whether I would sign a joint letter to the estate accountant confirming his share had been received. I drafted a short confirmation letter listing the wire receipt, the signed release, and the pickup confirmation, and I emailed it to Mark with a request he reply, all with confirmed for the accountant's records. He replied with confirmed and copied the estate accountant. Update 36. The accountant replied acknowledging receipt and said the estate reporting would be finalized in their submission next week. They attached a note indicating each beneficiary's share and a reminder to retain the closing documents for 3 years. I printed the accountant's note, scanned it into the tax folder, and set calendar reminders to retain scanned copies for the required period. Update 37. A month after I moved, my manager asked if I would lead the hearing interviews for a junior role. I agreed, scheduled interview slots, and coordinated feedback templates for the panel. I added the interview dates to my calendar and prepared a scoring rubric aligned with my team's competencies. Update 38. Mark contacted the mutual friend asking whether I had met anyone in Chicago. The friend replied that they did not know and forwarded Mark's message to me. I replied to the friend, "Personal matters are private. Please don't forward messages related to my dating life." The friend apologized and confirmed they would not forward such messages again. Update 39. On a Saturday morning, I received a certified mail envelope from the forwarding address Mark had provided. The envelope contained a handwritten note with a list of small items he said he had found after pickup and a request that I donate them. I documented the envelope contents, photographed each item, and uploaded the photos to the shared folder with the label MISC Found Items 1103. I replied to Mark with pickup instructions for the items he wanted returned and scheduled the moving company's courier for Monday to collect the donated items for a local charity. Update 40. The week closed with the estate accountant filing the final return, the first quarterly estimated tax payment posting from my account, and HR confirming the final relocation reimbursement appeared on the pay stub. I archived the project calendar for the estate under completed projects and forwarded the archived folder to my brother with a note. All estate and tax paperwork completed and backed up. I responded to one last message from Mark, "Thanks," with "Send any future requests to my email, logistics only." I returned to work Monday, opened the pilot plan document, and moved a task card labeled Hire Junior PM to In Progress. Update 41. At 8:45 a.m. on a Tuesday, I was on camera for the client kickoff when the office security guard messaged me. "Someone here asks for Zoe K." I muted, stepped into the lobby, and found Mark standing by the visitor desk holding a small paper bag and a folded sheet with handwriting. He said, "I need 5 minutes." I said, "This is my workday. If this is about pickups, email me times. No one is allowed past reception." He showed the receipt for an item in the bag and said, "I brought these." I took the bag, logged the receipt in the MISC Found Items file, and asked him to leave the building. He asked if we could talk later. I said, "Logistics only, email." He scanned the lobby, left his business card with reception, and walked out. Update 42. I returned to the call, told the client we had a brief interruption in the lobby, and finished the presentation. My manager pinged me privately to ask if Mark was a safety concern. I replied with the facts: time, receipt, and building access. HR emailed later asking if I wanted a security escort to my car. I declined and asked HR to note the incident in my employee record and to forward the visitor card scan. Update 43. That afternoon, a mutual friend messaged offering mediation. I replied with a short statement that I preferred logistics-only communication and that all estate matters were closed. The friend asked whether Mark had said anything that suggested he would contest the distribution. I forwarded the signed mutual release and the escrow receipt and wrote, "Documents speak for themselves." The friend acknowledged and did not pursue mediation. Update 44. 2 days later, Mark texted claiming the items delivered to his sister's address were damaged in transit and asking for reimbursement. I replied with the mover's pickup photo, the signed pickup receipt, and the mover's damage policy that required claims within 48 hours. He replied with a photo of a scratched table corner and an invoice from a local repair shop. I forwarded both to the mover's claims email and copied the signed pickup receipt and the mutual release. The mover replied with a claim form and a request for the pickup receipt, already in the folder, and an estimated response time of 7 business days. I logged the claim in the estate finances tracker and scheduled a reminder to follow up on the mover's reply. Update 45. Work assigned me the pilot kickoff date and asked if I could travel to the client's office for a 2-day workshop 2 weeks out. I confirmed availability and booked travel per company policy. I added travel blocks to the team calendar and delegated the interview sessions for the junior hire to 2 senior colleagues, giving them the rubric and candidate notes. I scheduled a prep meeting for the pilot with the senior leads and created a task list for deliverables to be completed before departure. Update 46. Mark posted in the mutual friends chat accusing me of cutting him out and asking whether he could pick up one more box from storage. I replied in the thread with the pickup window and the signed pickup receipt, and I attached the mutual release. A different friend in the chat asked whether I had seen anyone in Chicago. I replied, "Personal life not for the group, logistics only." The chat resumed normal planning around a weekend barbecue and did not develop further. Update 47. The mover acknowledged Mark's claim and scheduled a damage inspection. The inspector requested photos with a timestamp and a short statement from Mark. I sent the inspector the mover's pickup photo and the signed release and asked Mark to submit his photos and the repair invoice directly to the mover. Mark submitted the photos and the invoice to the mover's claims portal the same day and emailed me a copy. I saved it in the estate claims folder and notified the estate agent and my brother that a claim was open. Update 48. 2 days before my travel date, I received a calendar invite from the pilot sponsor asking for a one-on-one to discuss scope expansion. I accepted and prepared a briefing deck showing resource allocation and risk mitigations. During the one-on-one, the sponsor asked whether I could take on a second client pilot in Q2. I asked for the scope and a headcount increase and requested HR confirm travel budget. The sponsor agreed to propose an additional headcount and asked me to draft a hearing brief for the junior PM role. I drafted the brief that evening and shared it with the hearing panel. Update 49. Mark texted early one morning that his sister had not received the table and that he would be at my building at 9:00 a.m. to retrieve other items he said were missing. I replied with the storage unit pickup time and told him not to come to my building. At 9:10 a.m., the building manager called to report a man at the security gate asking for me by name. I gave the manager the mutual release, the pickup receipt, and instructed them to direct all visitors to email for appointments. The manager replied they would not allow unscheduled visitors and would call security if the man returned. Update 50. The mover closed the damage claim with a partial reimbursement to Mark after reviewing the inspector's photos and the pickup receipt. I recorded the reimbursement in the finances tracker and updated the distribution spreadsheet to reflect the adjustment. I emailed the updated spreadsheet to my brother and copied the estate agent with a note that the claim was settled and that no further estate funds were required. Update 51. On the morning of my client travel, I reviewed the pilot checklist with the team, exported the required assets to the shared drive, and set an out-of office auto-reply indicating limited email access for 3 days and a backup contact for urgent requests. I zipped the briefing materials, confirmed hotel reservations, and checked in for the flight. Update 52. Mid-flight, Mark sent one final text. "I want to fix this. Can we meet when you get back?" I replied, "Logistics only. If you need records, email." I landed, joined the 2-day workshop, led sessions, captured next step action items, and returned to Chicago with the team deliverables completed and the sponsor's approval to expand the pilot scope pending headcount. Update 53. After I returned, HR notified me that security had placed a note on my building file regarding an unscheduled visitor asking for me. They asked if I wanted a formal harassment report filed with building management. I replied with the documented dates, the visitor card, and the security gate log and requested the building management block unscheduled access and route all pickup requests through the management office. They confirmed the action and sent a copy of the updated guest policy to my email. Update 54. 2 weeks later, the mover issued their final claim report confirming the partial reimbursement and closing the file. I saved the report to the claims folder, updated the finances tracker, and archived the estate claims subfolder. Mark texted that he had nothing else and that he understood. I replied, "Anything pertinent, email." He sent a one-line, "Done." Update 55. I posted the hearing brief for the junior PM role and coordinated interview slots with the panel. I ran 3 interview panels over the next week, collected scored feedback, and recommended one candidate to the director. HR extended an offer, and the candidate accepted. I scheduled onboarding and assigned the new hire a mentor. Update 56. 2 days after the new hire's first week, I opened my inbox and saw an email from Mark with that subject line. I downloaded the closing packet, attached the PDFs, and replied with, "Attached. Anything further, email." Update 57. He replied, "Thanks," and copied the estate accountant. I forwarded the exchange to the accountant and to my brother for their records and archived the thread in the estate completed folder. Update 58. HR added the new hire to our org chart and requested I run a 30-day check-in. I scheduled a one-on-one, prepared a feedback template, and set goals for the hire's first 90 days. Update 59. The pilot sponsor confirmed headcount approval and budget for Q2 expansion. I updated the pilot scope document, created a hearing timeline for an additional contractor, and submitted the request to procurement. Update 60. The estate accountant emailed final confirmation that the estate tax return had been filed and attached the receipt and the final K1 copies. I downloaded the files, uploaded them to the tax folder, and scheduled a calendar reminder to send a copy to my brother for his records. Update 61. I prepared the first estimated tax payment per the accountant's schedule, initiated the automated transfer, and saved the bank confirmation in the finances folder. Update 62. The moving company delivered a replacement dining table I had ordered for the Chicago apartment. I inspected the delivery, signed the acceptance form, and updated the home inventory document. Update 63. I registered the new hires equipment in our assets tracker, assigned a mentor for the next quarter, and updated the team's on-call rotation to cover the pilot travel dates. Update 64. Mark sent one final text asking whether I would consider mediation. I replied with, "Estate and finances closed. Logistics only via email." He sent no further messages. Update 65. The contractor I had hired for the estate repairs emailed an invoice adjustment after reconciling parts costs. I approved the adjustment, uploaded the corrected invoice to the finances folder, and notified the accountant. Update 66. Procurement approved the contractor headcount for the pilot expansion. I created interview slots for the contractor role and circulated the scoring rubric to the panel. Update 67. The mutual friend messaged to confirm they had returned 2 small items to Mark's sister and that the handoff was complete. I updated the shared folder with the handoff receipt and closed the MISC found items subfolder. Update 68. The accountant sent the final year-end summary with instructions for retaining records and suggested documents to bring to the tax appointment. I printed the summary, scanned it into the tax folder, and confirmed the January tax meeting on my calendar. Update 69. I ran the 30-day check-in with the new hire, collected feedback, and created a development plan. I submitted the plan to HR for approval and assigned training modules for the next month. Update 70. The mover's claims file closed in the vendor portal with the partial reimbursement noted. I reconciled the reimbursement against the distribution spreadsheet and emailed the updated accounting sheet to my brother and the estate agent. Update 71. My manager copied me on an email praising the pilot deliverables and asked if I could present the pilot results at the quarterly all-hands. I prepared a slide deck summarizing metrics, stakeholder feedback, and next steps, and scheduled a dry run with the director. Update 72. Mark's last outreach was a voicemail asking for confirmation that everything had been sent to his forwarded address. I verified the mail log, copied the tracking numbers, and replied by email with the confirmations attached. Update 73. I closed the estate's online account per the accountant's instructions after confirming there were no remaining transactions and exported the final ledger to the secure archive. Update 74. The pilot expansion received formal approval. Procurement posted the contractor role, and I coordinated interviews. Interviews were completed, and an offer was extended and accepted. I scheduled onboarding for the contractor to align with the pilot timeline. Update 75. On the day the final tax documents were filed with the accountant, I moved the tax folder to cold storage, set reminders for 3-year retention, and created a compressed archive of the entire estate and relocation project labeled 201X, Estate and Relocation. Closed. Conclusion. The estate sale was finalized, distributions were completed and documented, the mover's claim and miscellaneous item handoffs were settled, and the accountant filed the final returns. At work, I completed onboarding of 2 new team members, expanded the pilot per sponsor approval, and presented results at the quarterly meeting. All personal and financial obligations tied to the estate and the relocation were archived and scheduled for routine retention. Ongoing work responsibilities were in place, and further communication with Mark was limited to documented logistics handled by email. The timeline closed with records secured, tax steps completed, and professional responsibilities advanced.